Memories of how the Soviet army was crushed still remain in this desolate valley. About 30 years ago, an Afghan resistance movement repelled 9 Soviet offensives. Those fighters were instrumental in forcing a Soviet retreat from Afghanistan. Nowadays, the valley is like a cemetery where people come to remember and reflect.
It was both a day of victory for us and a day of creating a graveyard for the invaders.
Thousands of Soviet troops lost their lives here in Panjshir as they battled one of the most celebrated Afghan commanders, Ahmad Shah Massoud. He's known as the Lion of Panjshir and is buried here. After those losses, Soviet troops stunned the world in 1989 as they drove over the Friendship Bridge on the border with what is now Uzbekistan, defeated after a decade of war.
There was a snowstorm when they called us from the base located down the mountain. They said the Russians had withdrawn and asked us to come down.
The Mujahideen celebrated this great victory, but there was no peace. Civil war soon broke out. The competing groups were still backed by international players. It wasn't until the Taliban took over, nearly 10 years later, that the fighting finally stopped. There is a fear among Afghans that the chaos of the civil war could be repeated if the US withdraws its troops.
Every year, the anniversary of this event that takes place here is a lesson and example to the world's people to stop thinking about their vicious demands and avoid repeating what happened in Afghanistan.
Fighters in this valley still mourn the friends they lost 3 decades ago. Consolation for them comes only from a sense of pride in a victory that brought a superpower to its knees. But it's also mixed with fear for the future. Afzal Ahmed, TRT World.